You are about to listen to the Dr. Dahlia Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Dahlia Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Dahlia.
We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dahlia, 1-877-DOCDALI. So this is my favorite time of year. December is my favorite month always. I love Christmas and Santa and Hanukkah and the lights and the presents and all that. But, as we talked about before, this is also the time for the holiday blues. And there's a lot of individuals who who struggle during this time of year. Is it because they lost somebody? Is it because they're ill and they can't enjoy what they used to always be able to do on the holidays? Is it because they're alone? They can't afford to travel and be with others. Is it because of the financial hardship they're in? And so they feel like they can't give gifts. And we can't be naive and understand that there's a lot of individuals who do not share the same sentiment as the holidays as we might. And many of them are going, I can't wait for it to end. I feel bad for them because I live all year long for Christmas. It's just my favorite time of year. And I try to squeeze like lemon juice, as much as I could get out of until it's December 26th. And thank God for New Year's because people still keep up their lights. It's still the festive holiday season. But once January comes, I don't like the way I feel in January. The lights are coming down. It's a whole nother year till Christmas. I remember last year I was telling my husband, I'm going to look up when Veterans Day is because right after Veterans Day is when I'm going to decorate. So when you really think about it, it's only 10 months. And I'm already trying to... Okay, we have life to live. And so for those who struggle with the holiday blues, you're not alone. There's a lot of people that feel that same way, and you can't escape it because it's all over. I know I didn't help. I put up some more lights yesterday. I got more lights. Gosh, lights are getting expensive. I don't know how many hundreds of dollars of lights I have. I probably should have just hired somebody. Because I don't know if you've seen some of the pictures, the way I put them up is an absolute mess. And I'll fix it. I think I'll have everything done by the 26th. By the time I get my act together and I learn how to do all this right. But I just wanted, my house to look like a winter wonderland. And so I just have snowmen and snowflakes, and my Hanukkah decorations are coming, and I got all these Christmas lights all over and candles, and I just want to immerse myself in it. But for those of you in my neighborhood, or for those of you that just don't want to always be inundated with it, you can't watch TV without there being a Christmas movie that reminds you or a commercial or a song on the radio, and so people struggle. So the first thing I recommend is to definitely don't deal with this alone, whether it's a counselor, whether it's a medical provider, whether it's a family member. Identify what it is, because the average person with the holiday blues doesn't have a problem with hot cocoa. They don't have a problem with the Christmas tree, and they don't have a problem with Mariah Carey. I got to tell you, her Christmas album is one of my favorites. I also like the Kelly Clarkson album. I like the Christina Aguilera album. I love Christmas music, but the average person with the holiday blues, it's not what you think. And so if they feel alone or they feel like they can't buy gifts or whatever, let's kind of break down what exactly it is. I told you a lot of families will do Secret Santa or White Elephant, where you only have to buy one gift. They come up with a random amount, $20 or $50 or $100, or it has to be red, or they come up with something, and all you have to do is come up with one gift. And I know for some people that could be stressful, but that's better than having to buy for the nieces and the nephews and the aunts and the uncles and the grandparents and neighbors and all that. It's a lot. And so also with cooking, people panic. Well, I can't cook, and I can't cook a meal, and my family's away. And, talk to the family about, look, I don't want to be alone. How do I get to see you? And if traveling during Christmas or somebody's working during Christmas is not possible, you don't have to celebrate Christmas on the 25th. You could be together on a different day. I've told my family this. Thanksgiving does not have to be on Thanksgiving. I don't care when we get together. and do turkey and all that. Do we really sit there and look at the calendar? If we're not working that day, that could be our Thanksgiving. And so there's a lot of things you could do if you do struggle a lot with alcohol, and everybody's drinking and all the parties. We're going to be going to a party this weekend. I cannot wait. It's going to be very exciting. But, I'm trying to cut my calories, and, there's going to be open bar. and so, if you're worried about the temptations, you could talk to family members about that, saying, look, I'm in recovery or I'm dieting and I don't want the temptations. So first, break down exactly what it is. If it is that you miss a family member, well, then we're going to be all together, Mom, all together, Dad. Why don't we do a little memorial? And let's talk about the happy thoughts. There's things that can be done, but you got to share. Don't be alone. Don't say, I can't stand this. Let's just get through it. December 26th can't come quick enough. There's things that could be done. It's interesting. I'm Jewish, and I didn't realize how I might have had an element of the holiday blues because I couldn't celebrate like everybody else. Now, Hanukkah is cool. Hanukkah is a lot of fun, but Hanukkah is not technically the big happy holiday of the year. Purim is. And in Judaism, a lot of our holidays, just like in Catholicism, they have a lot of meaning. They, usually people died. During, and we're remembering, what our ancestors went through. And so I'm seeing, people have Christmas lights up in their apartment or in their, or they get to go and talk to Santa. And, I can't do that. And it was very interesting because it was only later when I was an adult when my friend said, look, we're going to do a Polar Express in Northern Arizona. And I go, really? And it was a Jewish family. I go, oh, yeah, every year they have Santa. I've always wanted to do Polar Express. You mean that's okay? Yeah. Another one of my Jewish friends puts up Christmas lights, puts up lights all over the house. And I go, we could do that? Yeah. And so I felt like I couldn't celebrate. And once I got to put up the lights and do, Polar Express and sit on Santa's lap, I was a happy girl. I love Hanukkah, but I love Christmas too. 1-877-Doc-Dolly. Don't go away.
As the snow's falling down, leaving white on the ground, he's the man with a sleigh, working night, working day. He wears a red velvet suit and black leather boots, ready to chase away everyone's blues. With rosy cheeks, he loves the cold.
I think Congress is about to take their Christmas break. Welcome back to Dr. Dalia's show, 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOCDALI. Again, sorry, bad hair day. Even my hair's not ready today. Apologize about that. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. Big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Dalia, Facebook, The Dr. Dalia Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So the Democratic health plan and the Republican plan to fix the Obamacare mess both failed. And we knew this would happen. The Democrats didn't have enough votes and the Republicans didn't have enough votes. You need 60 to pass in the Senate, which I actually like. I like that because I really, really want bipartisan, you really want, because Obamacare was passed by primarily Democrats. And so when Obamacare has issues, it's all the Democrats, You don't really have a lot of Republicans to say, look, Republicans did this too. And so if you're going to have something that passes, you really, really want, to give, especially if we're having Democrats and Republicans claim that they're working together, have them work together and come up with a plan. So the Democrats needed to have, the headline saying that Republicans didn't want the tax subsidies extended. And then Republicans were like, look, we got a better idea. We think we have a better idea. This is going to put money in Americans' pockets, but it didn't pass. In fact, one Republican didn't vote for the plan. I think Rand Paul. So they didn't have enough. They didn't have 60 votes because it was pretty much a long party line. Lisa Murkowski from Alaska, Republican from Alaska, said she voted for both plans. It's not that she loved the Democrat plan or the Republican plan. She just wants to get things moving. Now, remember, these guys want to go home for Christmas.
and Hanukkah and all that. And so, what happens next? So, just to quickly review where we're at with Obamacare is in order for when Obamacare said, look, insurances only have to cover X, Y, and Z, but they have to cover X, Y, and Z. Insurance companies did line by line say, this is all we're going to cover. When Obamacare said you have to cover pre-existing conditions, which I agree with, that was one good thing in there. The second good thing was physicals get covered, but then that turned into a mess because now people's mammograms and colonoscopies are more expensive than they ever were. If they butt out, we actually had better, prices for our mammograms and colonoscopies prior. But with the pre-existing condition clause, now these insurance companies are saying, wait a second, healthy people aren't putting money into the system. So we're going to have to then raise our rates to cover, the hepatitis treatment, the cancer treatment, et cetera. And so the Obamacare plans, whether the exchange offers plans, if you qualify for subsidies, some of these high premiums get narrowed down because the subsidy doesn't go to you, it goes to the insurance company. The insurance company gets the money. Yeah. And so the insurance company is like, okay, well, if we get a certain percentage and we get certain money, then we just raise the rates and we'll get more money. And unfortunately, that's what's happened. They also have made plans where you're basically never getting to use your insurance because your deductible is too high. And so Obamacare has been failing a lot of people. They say, oh, it's giving health insurance to millions of people. They might have a card in their wallet, but their doctor went under. Their doctor closed. Their doctor's gone. They can't find another doctor. They're ending up going, out of network, or their deductible is so high or their copay is so high that they are afraid to go to the doctor. So what the Republicans want to do, which I actually like a lot, is rather than the money going to the insurance companies, the money goes to the voter, goes to the American, the citizen, or the resident or legal citizen, legal resident. And where if they have a plan and they qualify, rather than the money going to buy down a very expensive inflated premium, you have that money in a health savings account. So when you do need to spend $45 on a copay, or you do have a $500 deductible, or you have to pay, like my mammogram, I think I had to pay $300, but there was also like an ultrasound. That money could go to that. And so, because my health insurance, it's just all deductible. My health insurance doesn't pay anything. It just, it might tell the company to bring down the price, but they're not paying because I have them in my deductible. Well, then at least I have this money that I could then use. I mean, I probably would have qualified, but for those who do, now they could pay for that x-ray. They could pay for that mammogram. Now, $1,000 between 18 and 49 years old and $1,500 from 50 to 64 years old, not a lot of money. However, one thing we've learned is when academia hears that college loans are expanded and somebody could borrow more, or when Obamacare insurance companies hear, okay, we're going to be subsidized more, they raise the rates. Because people are asking, why only $1,000? That's not going to be enough. Well, if a radiology company or a pharmaceutical company or a hospital is like, look, they only have $1,500 in their HSA. So I know you want to charge them $2,700. You might want to rethink that. You might want to negotiate. To get prices down, we need to stop the gravy train. And where are these insurance companies getting the money? Well, from people paying these plans because they're, nervous because they need health insurance, and from the subsidies. So now we're in this stalemate where Obamacare does have to be fixed. Everybody has said repeal and replace, but nobody's had a plan because it'll implode the whole healthcare system. That's how it was designed. They knew exactly what they were doing. You cut the red wire, the whole thing implodes. So you can't just repeal and replace. But do we keep throwing money at a failing system? So many people have turned to telemedicine because it's cheaper. The insurance companies are like, just use telemedicine. So they're not getting their physicals, they're not getting their exams. And when I say you need to go in, they're like, but that's going to cost money. And I'm like, well, so it's just not working for people. I mean, I closed my office in 2016. I could have probably made it another year or two, but with insurance companies not paying us because high deductibles and patients not paying because they were losing their jobs and the recession was horrible. But at some point, we were going to go under. And we weren't taking any salary. We were, trying to pay the staff. And thank God we did close it, because with COVID, that would have been a mess. The lockdowns and no access to PPE. The thing is every now and then, one of my old patients will call into the telemedicine company I work for, say, I still haven't found a doctor since you left. And I'm like, Obama promised you could keep your doctor. And he was wrong. So we could cry over spilled milk, or we could fix the situation. So how do you fix the situation? Well, giving tons of taxpayer dollars to insurance companies who are raising, the premiums, not helping. Having drugs that are costing $1,000 a month. Luckily, Trump's working on that. That's good. Let's get these prices down. And he's going to have Trump RX, a website. I'm cautiously optimistic. I can't look at it yet because it's not up and running. I'd like to see how people can access it and how they can have their medications go there. Is it going to be compatible with electronic software, or can you have your doctor call in a prescription? But Trump RX is supposed to be a new prescription marketplace to get your prescriptions cheaper. Fantastic concept, because you're hoping that if we get Ozempic and Wegovy, these expensive drugs, cheaper, insurance companies will lower the rate. Not going to lower the rate if we keep giving them subsidies. So how do we lower rates? Well, we lower demand and we increase supply. Well, if the demand for your expensive, crappy health insurance plan with a high deductible and high copays isn't what I want, I'm not buying it. I'm going to look for something where it's cheaper. And I feel like I get better value. Same thing with these radiology places. You get a CT calcium score at one place, it's expensive. Another one, it's $200 cheaper. Same scan. Board certified radiologists. So then maybe these companies are like, you know what, we're gonna change our cash rate. We're gonna make it more competitive. Because these insurance companies are making money, these hospitals are making money, these radiologists are making they're making money, but if you can't afford your plan, it's costing you money. You have to spend at least $10,000 before your insurance kicks in. This isn't working. So bipartisanly, I think Republicans and Democrats agree it's time to fix Obamacare or replace it. The thing is the midterms are coming up. So what's complicating things? Well, midterms. And Democrats need to have something they could say to take on the Republican messaging. The Republican messaging is, we got gas prices down, we got egg prices down, the stock market's up, border is secure, we're working on crime, whatever. So what are they going to combat? Well, are people hurting? And who are hurting? Well, they're hurting for those individuals that can't get the Obamacare subsidies for Obamacare. And they're not getting the subsidies, the insurance. So Republicans are like, well, let's not send the money to the insurance companies. Let's give it to the patients. So what happens next? Well, they're going to be going on vacation soon. And if they need 60 votes, they're going to need somebody to cross the aisle saying, you know what, this is good. So what I suggest is do a temporary subsidy fix, not 3 years. We could temporarily do it and then meet after the recess. Otherwise, people are going to be screwed at the end of the year because their insurance company is not going to lower their rates by January 1. But we got to work on that. 1-877-DOC-DALIA.
Looking for a gift that can actually help secure someone's future? It's Mark Falter's new book, Common Sense Income Strategies. It makes the perfect gift for that special someone in your life. Mark has helped thousands of hardworking Americans secure their financial future by using time-tested strategies that continue to create wealth, whether the market is up or down. Strategies that will make perfect sense once you take the time to read this powerful book. Common Sense Income Strategies brings to you what Mark has been teaching in person and talking about on the radio for decades. You've worked too long and too hard not to see the fruits of your labor. To learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635. Secure your future with Common Sense Income Strategies by Mark Falter. Again, to learn how to receive your free copy, call 866-764-2635. That's 866-764-2635.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hi, it's Mark Falter, host of the Financial Fitness Show. I strongly believe that no one should ever pay 1 penny more in taxes than they are legally obligated. Unfortunately, for most hardworking Americans, this just isn't the case. Why? Because most people spend more time planning next weekend's getaway than trying to ensure they're going to pay less in taxes. My financial fitness team has put together some materials that I know are going to help you. It's the Tax Savings Kit. Tax Savings Kit includes 3 things: free tax analysis, top 10 ways to pay less in taxes, and an investor's guide to taxes. Now, how do you get it? Simple. 866-764-2635. Again, 866-764-2635. I'm Mark Falter. This is Financial Fitness, making personal finance profitable.
Back on the Dr. Dolly Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Doc-Dolly, 1-877-DOC-DALI. So I almost vomited in my mouth yesterday because I had to look at Tyler Robinson. Tyler Robinson is the 22-year-old punk accused of fatally shooting Charlie Kirk. And he appeared in Utah. Sorry, I did. I just can't stand looking at this alleged piece of crap. And he appeared in a Provo court yesterday. This is the first time in person since his arrest. His attorneys were able to sway the judge to let him wear regular clothes and not be in an orange jumpsuit, shackled. And, obviously prosecutors want to do that so that he appears to, because you're innocent until proven guilty. And so, seeing somebody shackled, etc., and in prison garb could, cause a bias. So they wanted him to look like an innocent civilian being tried for a murder. I think he wore khaki pants and a tie and a light blue shirt. And then he was seen smiling, joking around with the attorney, calm, chill. I'm just a college kid. Meanwhile, he allegedly brutally murdered Charlie Kirk on September 10th when he was speaking at Utah Valley University campus in Orem, just a few miles from the Provo courthouse. Now, he did have restraints on his wrists and ankles, and the cameras were not supposed to show that. They were only supposed to show this young college-looking student, and make it appear, like he is just one of us. And, people always ask, why are these accused killers sitting there laughing? I remember, O.J. Simpson, with his trial, he was sitting there and, smiling and, and they do this because they don't want to sit there looking like their mugshot. They don't want to sit there looking like a killer. They want to sway. They put on this act. Now, the media goes, gosh, this person is laughing. He doesn't understand, the brutal shooting of Charlie Kirk's neck and blood gushing out and him dying and leaving his wife widowed and his kids without a father and you don't want to see somebody sitting there looking like he's fine, no big deal, not a care in the world. But I think prosecutors, I'm no legal expert, but I think prosecutors keep telling these accused murderers to look kinder, look like anybody else would. If you sit there and you look like a killer that's staring down the jury, they're going to get scared and want to put you away for life or the death penalty, which I believe he is up. Robinson is up for the death penalty. He's been charged with aggravated murder, felony use of a firearm, obstruction of justice, witness tampering, commission of a violent offense in the presence of a child. Kids were there. He hasn't entered the plea yet, I don't think. Right now, I think this is just preliminary, and then there's going to be a preliminary hearing on May 18th, 2026. But they want the defense. The defense wants him to be, look like somebody who couldn't have done this. I don't know what their defense is, because when you look at the text, it's so damning, where he's scoping out the place and he's worried about his grandfather's gun and when he was talking to his roommate, the roommate couldn't believe it at first. And I also don't really know the timeline. I know that Tyler Robinson's parents turned him in. So I don't know if the roommate thought he was serious or how long the text went. But, the roommate that he had, I think, is a biological male who was transitioning from man to woman, was in a romantic relationship with the defendant. And some of the text, so like Robinson tells him, I am still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little, should longer, that's cut off, I can't see it. Shouldn't be long until I could come home. Gotta be honest, I had hoped to keep this secret until I died. I didn't want to involve you. The roommate's like, you weren't the one who did it, right? And Robinson said, I am. I'm sorry. The roommate said, I thought they caught the person. Remember, they caught this older man, and there were witnesses saying he didn't do it. And the media wouldn't listen to those witnesses. The witnesses are like, you got the wrong guy. And the media wouldn't interview them. And I'm like, wait a second, the guy was just telling us that they got the wrong guy. But some people saw that, the arrest, that old man that was being thrown on the ground. And the roommate said, I thought they caught the person. And then Robinson said, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude. And then the picture is cut off. Something with similar clothing. I had planned to grab my blank after, but most of that side of town got whatever. And then the roommate said, why? And Robinson, why did I do it? And the roommate says, yeah, he said, I had enough of this hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. Robin said, if I am able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they have moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it. The roommate goes, how long have you been planning this? Robinson said, a bit over a week, I believe. According to BBC News, I'm able to read the text now in full. Says, I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they already swept that spot, but I don't want to chance it. Robinson said, then I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried what my old man would do if I didn't bring back my grandpa's rifle. He's worried about getting busted by his parents and his dad when he allegedly just murdered somebody in front of millions of people watching. He said, Idek, if it had, I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. I worry about prints. I had to leave it in a bush where I changed outfits. He just reports this whole thing. Didn't have the ability or time to bring it with. I might have to abandon it. I hope they don't find prints. How the blank will I explain losing it to my old man? Just, he's not worried about the police. To me, this suggests that he thought he was in the clear, but he can't relax or rest until he can figure out how to deal with his dad and the lost gun. That is his big worry of the day. He said, only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. He said, remember how I was engraving bullets? The blank messages are mostly a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWA on Fox News, I might have a stroke. He says, all right, I'm going to have to leave it. That really blank sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I think that was a $2,000 scope. Then Robinson says to leak this exchange. He says, my dad wants photos of the rifle. He says, Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and is very unique. He's calling me, not answering. Then he says, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. He said later, I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy for the sheriff. He says, you are all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you. He says, don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any, please ask you questions. Ask for a lawyer and stay silent. And that's what BBC is reporting with his text. I mean, I'm dying to see what the defense tries to do and tries to say. With all this. Now, somebody could say, well, he was set up. It wasn't him. But I'm sure they have DNA evidence as well. But, it's just frightening that somebody, you see his mental illness, just even in his texts, where he worries more about what his dad and his grandpa are going to think than the fact that he just murdered the father of children who didn't deserve to lose his dad, their dad. 1-877 Doc Dolly, don't go away. We are back on the Dr. Dahlia Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Doc Dolly, 1-877 DOCDALI. So the Green Party might be really happy with that. Not the official Green Party, but people who really, really like marijuana. As President Donald Trump may be loosening federal restrictions on marijuana. And there's been plans and calls for him to change it from a Schedule 1 controlled substance, which makes it illegal, still federally, to something that would maybe fall under more where oxycodone or hydrocodone is, a Schedule 2 or Schedule 3 controlled substance drug. That will definitely loosen up ways to study it, commerce, the ability to buy it, and it will cause a boom in the marijuana market. Now, according to the Washington Post, they cited 6 people familiar with the discussions and reported Thursday that Trump did discuss plans with House Speaker Mike Johnson. His plans include broadening access to the drug through an upcoming executive order that directs federal agencies to pursue reclassification. This reclassification can be huge. As a result, marijuana stocks have skyrocketed. Now, the majority of the cannabis stocks are based in Canada. Now, Canada has been legalized for medicinal and recreational use for years. Even though they say it's been 7 years, cities within Canada. I remember I went to see Niagara Falls in the 90s. And when we decided to go and check out Toronto, all you smelled was pot on the Canada side. So I am sure that there are areas that have legalized it before. But as a whole, Canada has legalized it for medicinal and recreational use. In the U.S., marijuana is still considered a controlled substance under federal law. States have legalized it, most states, for medical, and a good number of states legalized it for recreational. I think Texas just joined a lot of those states as well. So for those of you into stock market, they say that Tilray Brands, TLRY, soared 23%. Canopy Growth is another one based in Ontario. So is Tilray Brands. I got to tell you, Trump's going to be really helping Canada with this one. Innovative Industrial Properties is out of Utah, Park City. Their shares are a little more expensive, but they have a dividend. And I'm not here telling you to get these stocks, but these are stocks that apparently may be going up. Amplify Alternative Harvest, that also tracks stocks. Sometimes these ETFs, they track stocks. I don't know much about it. I don't know how much I trust ETFs. I have a couple of them. Kronos Group, that's another one. CRON is their ticker symbol. Advisor Shares has gone up. Cureleaf Holdings has a $2 billion market cap. They advanced 24%. And then Chicago-based Green Thumb Industries, GTBIF, also jumped 23%. So, the marijuana stocks rallying. Be careful. I don't tell you guys to buy particular stocks. I'll tell you which stocks I did well on, like Nvidia and Meta and things like that. But I'm not going to tell you which stocks to buy because I just don't. I'm no expert on this. But as a doctor, what does that do if we loosen up the marijuana classification? Well, because we have such disarray as it pertains to our, it's legal in one state, it's not legal in another, it's legal for recreational, not legal for medicinal. It's really hard on a federal level to have something, a category 1 or a class 1 controlled substance, which is a very illegal drug. It's really difficult to have that sort of characterization of marijuana when it's legal in states and people are smoking it up and down the Las Vegas Strip. So it's there, and Trump, I think, wants the credit to legalize marijuana. So I think it's going to happen. I really do. I think he wants the credit. He doesn't want the Democrats getting the credit to legalize marijuana fully. Does it legalize it? Well, if something is a controlled substance, it's legal to use. Now, if you have a prescription. So like if you have a bottle of hydrocodone on you, but it's not your prescription, somebody could be thinking you're going to deal it, or you're in possession. And I'm no legal expert, but you're in possession of a controlled substance that without a prescription, that could still get you in some hot water. But if you do have a prescription, they leave you alone. If you have a bottle of a prescription for it, you're good. Now, we're at that stage with marijuana also, if you have a prescription for marijuana. But when you have the federal loosen the guidelines, it's just a little bit less of the police on your tushy. Controlled substance classifications, though, I still think are necessary because marijuana can cause harm. Because we have people coming into the hospital with acute psychosis. We have that girl that stabbed her boyfriend 108 times after she smoked a bong, and it put her into a psychosis. You have people with severe vomiting and scromiting, where they're vomiting and they're screaming in a psychotic state. Marijuana can do some bad things. Marijuana also impairs drivers. We do have data and evidence of marijuana increased accidents and fatalities. Can you overdose and die on marijuana? I haven't seen a lot of cases of any of people overdosing on marijuana. I mean, you could drink yourself to death, alcohol, and alcohol is legal. But unfortunately with marijuana, though, you could put you at risk for a heart attack, stroke, and it affects other people around you. You got the secondhand association. And if it's not regulated or watched, that marijuana that you're getting on the street can also be laced with fentanyl, etc. And then it is a Schedule 1 or a highly illegal drug. So I do believe there needs to still be the classification of that. Everybody says, but Dr. Dahlia, alcohol is legal. There's restrictions on that. I mean, if you are an 18-year-old kid holding a beer, you're in trouble. You're not supposed to be in possession. You cannot give your child a beer. That's contributing to the delinquency of a minor. I think there was a doctor in town who said, look, I don't want my kids getting drunk and driving. Guys, have your friends come over. They can bring their sleeping bags. But if you're going to drink, do it here where you're safe and not driving. A lot of parents have suggested that to their kids so that they know their kids aren't driving and they are protecting all those kids that night. That doctor got busted. because he contributed to the delinquency of a minor, letting them drink at his home. So if he had let the kids just go out and do whatever and get themselves in trouble and killed, he'd be off the hook. It's scary how that, but these are the way the laws are. And I don't think any parent should give kids alcohol. No parent. If I was a 16-year-old kid's mom and I found that the dad gave the kid a beer, well, it depends. But I wouldn't want my child getting something from another adult. That would, if I had a daughter whose dad got you drunk. So I understand a parent getting upset about that, but their marijuana, I don't think should be completely devoid of its scheduled status. But Schedule 1, it's starting to become moot. Is it a dangerous drug? Absolutely. Does it cause harm? Yes. Is it manipulated by nefarious agents? Yes, it is. It's very easily able to be manipulated. At least with alcohol, you got sealed bottles. And these bottles are sealed. When you go to Lee's Discount Liquor, and I've been there a couple times to buy gifts, these bottles are sealed up. With your marijuana, there's access. And so, states need to do a better job of protecting their citizens with it. But in terms of having it a felony, yeah, that's just, and I think it's wasting police's time. So we'll see what happens. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY. Don't go away.
Hey guys, it's Dr. Dahlia. Fantasy football season is coming, but sadly, too many of you are taking the bench while the country takes part in one of the most exciting and lucrative industries out there. Don't know how to play? Well, huddle up and listen. Paul Kalikas and I have written a fantasy football pocket guide for beginners. This book walks you through the basics and shows you how simple and lucrative joining or creating a fantasy football team can be. Read our fantasy football pocket guide for beginners found on Amazon or follow the links on X and Facebook. That's Fantasy Football Pocket Guides for Beginners. Don't be left out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
Hey guys, it's Clyde. We've had a lot of requests for Ground Zero merchandise, so we put together an online store with a big variety of high-quality items. I'm really excited to let you know about these things. We have a lot to offer you and your loved ones. In addition to our regular apparel, such as t-shirts, beanies, hoodies, and hats, we've expanded our product line with posters, flags, aprons, mugs, and a whole lot more. We also have Ground Zero collectibles along with a limited edition of items like a Clyde Lewis canvas portrait, a Ground Zero embroidered jacket that will certainly make for great gifts and for interesting conversations with family and friends. And we now offer publications such as Ron Patton's book about mind control, MK Zine, and back copies of the official magazine of Ground Zero while it was in print. Paranoia, the Conspiracy Reader, also coming in 2023, are updated and revised books that I've written. There's a secure and easy-to-use shopping cart for your purchases. So shop today at our official store by going to groundzeromerch.com. Again, that's groundzeromerch.com.
Dr. Dahlia here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.